Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. It's that time of the month again where we talk about those good old days in MapleStory. Today we're going over 5 things that I really miss from old school MapleStory. Years ago, everything was a lot slower in MapleStory. Only assassins had flash jump once they hit 3rd job and only mages had teleport. That meant you spent a lot more time moving around those huge maps that Victoria Island had. And that leads into one of the first things that I really miss from old school MapleStory, the sense of exploration and wonder. One of the more recent areas that was added in the game nowadays was a level 260 area, and all previously added areas were mostly job related areas or high level areas. And I think MapleStory already has plenty of lower level areas as well, but I just really miss the feeling of walking into a new area and just exploring without having to grind a couple of months for it or have to create a new character for it. I also really liked in the past there were a ton of hidden maps as well, with Big Beach probably being the most well known example. Sure, this wasn't very efficient and new players could have trouble finding those hidden maps, but back then I was really exploring all maps and just looking for any hidden maps or secrets. I didn't even know about those maps below Sleepywood like Forest of Gollum until like a year of playing. Those huge maps also gave me a sense of Victoria Island being this massive world, and I got stuck multiple times in high level areas in Sleepywood, or worse, that time when I got stuck in El Nath after exploring the Orbis Tower without actually saving enough mesos to go back, but that was part of the exploration and part of the fun. Plus luring Maples into that golem death trap near Hennessy, so it's just really fun and really evil. And there also were a lot more traps and stuff like that around the Maple World. It felt a lot more alive than the streamlined maps that we have nowadays. And by the way, if you are enjoying today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more MapleStory videos. Make sure to hit the bell notification as well to stay up to date when new videos go live. And while exploring maps and hunting monsters, something else that was really exciting could happen at any time: finding a rare drop from a monster. We find items all the time in MapleStory now, besides perhaps weapons and boss accessories. Those just never drop for me. But back then when I found an item, it didn't even really matter which item it was. I would get pretty excited anyway. Finding an item was a big deal back then. These days I always find the same pencil equipment from monsters and just deconstruct them or NPC them ASAP. The high drop rate of course helps new characters get started, and it's actually a must in Reboot, but I still miss that feeling of finding a red whip from Drumming Bunnies or an Estus shield from those Chronos ghosts in Lidibrium. I guess a big part of the wow factor for me was that more types of weapon and gear could be used by different classes. For example, mages could use a dagger called Korean Fan and their magic attacks would work with that as well, their skills. It wasn't very beneficial, but hey, at least it looked cool. Or mages could use those one-handed swords, those umbrella weapons for their magic attacks. And I think at least those had magic attack. Or those tube weapons that you had, or giant flowers, surfboards, snowboards. In the current day and age of MapleStory, if you aren't wearing the same weapon or weapons your class can use, you cannot use any attacking skills with it, which is kinda boring and leaves less room to experiment, less room for fun in my opinion. But anyway, to get back to the point I was trying to make, because a lot of the regular equipment items and even potions were a lot more scarce back then, everything that you found mattered. And because even lower level monsters could drop rare items like panlets from green mushrooms or even ilbies from Mushmom, it made it very exciting to hunt those monsters and just look for these drops. Finding one of those made a huge impact on your meso balance. I remember finding an Omok table once those were released and I sold it for like 200k mesos. I felt so rich, especially since the max mesos back then was like 2.3 billion mesos. Now I already mentioned them a bit earlier, but this goes into the third thing that I had on the list that I really miss in the current day and age of MapleStory. I think the events in the past were a lot more fun, unique and exciting than most of the current events. Almost all events nowadays are coin cap events with a store and they all have very similar setups. Some of them do give out very nice rewards like the Hotel Maple event, but it's always the same structure and same setup with just a different skin. I really miss when events were exciting and unique, like every event was different. I think this is something that MapleStory Europe did actually very well by designing several European themed events like that Guy Fawkes event and that German beer tent for Oktoberfest. Most events back then also rewarded permanent items that were not per se the most powerful, but looked funny and at least were very memorable. Like again those tubes, surfboards and Valentine flower polearms to name a few. And especially the anniversary events used to be a very big deal in MapleStory, with MapleStory themed items dropping that everyone just had to have. Most of them for the aesthetics or to sell, and that Maple shield was actually very good if I remember correctly, one of the best shields to have back then. The Cake vs Spy event was also always very fun and unique, where Maples had to choose different teams and compete to get a higher score. A bit like Goo Island I guess, but then done right. Actually now that I think about it, Goo Island was probably one of the more unique events we had in years, but too bad it wasn't executed very well in my opinion. Too many bugs and the event was just way too tedious. But hey, at least with the event that will start this winter called Maple Live, there will be a bit more unique and fun and rewarding minigames, so there's something to look forward to. A big part of what made MapleStory really fun in the past for me as well was that social interactions were a lot more common instead of the "I already was in this map, I just went into a portal, CC please" you get from Maples nowadays. I think the slower progression, lesser items, longer travel times and bigger maps all helped boost the social interactions that you had with other Maplers. The lack of potions meant that you spent a lot more time sitting on chairs, recovering HP and MP, and back then you didn't have much else to do besides perhaps editing your MySpace page, so there was plenty of time to socialize. Traveling also took forever on those ships to Orbis, Ludibrium, Ariant and Livre, leaving a lot of time for Maplers to talk to each other, sell their wares, if you had coin of course, or play a game of Omok. The slower progression also meant that trading in a party was pretty beneficial, or just trading in the same map without being in a party was fine as well, because those maps were huge anyway. No one was claiming the entire Anton was theirs, and there were usually multiple people trading in maps at both lower and higher levels. And let's not forget when party play zones were all the meta, and it was encouraged to grind together for some really sick EXP. Those were the days, man. Bossing parties required a lot of people as well, even at lower levels like Zakub and Horntail for the longest time. I actually really don't like how Maplers nowadays need to be above level 100 to join a guild. A lot of newer Maplers who actually need a guild cannot even meet new people by joining one until they get to level 100 plus, which just feels really weird to me, especially if you're playing a new game. But oh well. And of course the pinnacle of social interaction, stress and flaming, and number 5 on the list of things that we missed the most from old school MapleStory are of course party quests. From Hennessy's to Kerning to Ludi to Carnival PQ to Orbis PQ, there was a PQ for everything. Heck, to even begin assembling the Eye of Fire for Zakub, you need to do a PQ first. Party play was pretty essential back then, as usually is the case in most MMOs, but in the current day and age of MapleStory, party play only becomes essential for mid-game bosses like Damien or Lucid and upwards, which a lot of seasonal players don't even reach, I feel like. MapleStory has become very focused on getting Maplers to level 200 as streamlined and as quickly as possible, so they can be incentivized to start doing their dailies and come back every day, because else you miss out. And sure, while party quests weren't always fun, like trading wins at Carnival PQ and getting scammed, and people leaving halfway through the party quest, but getting in, beating those auto-clickers by hand, and just the social interaction and the rush of finishing a PQ to perhaps get a good reward like those slime shoes or a bamboo hat was totally worth it. Actually, I didn't even PQ that much, but I still wrote down every name of every Maple that I saw PQing on a piece of paper in case I ever need a track. And actually party quests are still in the game, but they're not very popular, no one really does them anymore. I think a quick few tweaks to their rewards and EXP gain could already make them a lot more popular. They don't need to compete super close to grinding per se, but as they are right now, they're just not worth it, as the hassle of getting a party together is just way too big. But there are 5 things that I missed from old school MapleStory. Is there anything you really missed that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments. We might make a 5 things you missed from old school MapleStory video next. And that was all for today. As always, many thanks to our members for making this video possible. Many thanks to Niels, Coninck, Raar, maar waar, Sebastian, Hanoy, FLX, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Dries, Zumker, Wiley, Francisco Sousa, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Lonzo, BG Extremes, Anwar NHI, Frank Bouguet, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, Beamer WT, Knifesu, Chen125, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Froggy11, Sir Tito 655, Grayson Lee, Brandon Camp, Vara, Trevor, Michael Mataka, Ryalias, Lucky Beats, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Afterlord_MS, Heyopan, ceemak 20, Joshua Alvarez, Striker Elk, Nok MSS, Niu, Tido Pun, Victor Sundstrom, Radicals the Alien, Stanislaus Kasumo Vegas, Reiser RU, MD Harem, Eddie Reacts to Things, Dular, and Gummy Bullet. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe and happy mapling.